Okay. Hey, Tellor community. Welcome. Today is November 10th, 2020. Another community call. So hopefully you guys all survived the election. I think it went pretty well. No, but crypto did really well, at least. That was, I think, the big news for most of us out of it who are watching the important things. But, we'll just kind of quickly go over. So the agenda for today, I'll go over some announcements. We were going to go over, so we sent out that developer survey. I told you guys it closed last week. We'll go over some of the results real quick. And then after that, we'll get into some of your questions and just kind of chat about them as a team. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here. The first kind of updates. So we are doing a bunch of updates to the miner. I know this is like a dev focused update. So we recently pushed a release. So you can go check out. Mainly there's a whole lot of code structure changes. It's not mandatory in the sense that, so the previous one wasn't mandatory in the sense that, you're not going to be submitting bad values or you're not going to stop mining, similar to like the V2 upgrade. It's just we're changing a lot of the structure. We know a lot of the miners have forked the code and kind of build their own pieces off of it. Now that we change a lot of the structure, make sure that you pull this down, check out some of the changes and make everything work, because we actually do have some changes that are going to be, they're not breaking changes, but we're adding some new data points to the Tellor system and it's going to be going off of the newer structure. So make sure that you guys are up to date on that. So if you saw, we are officially using the Tellor improvement process, the tip procedures for adding these. We're adding OGN waves and the VIX. VIX is the volatility index. A bunch of new exciting ones that people requested. And we're probably going to have, we've had quite a few more requests. We're still getting the final details on those. We'll be having quite a few more requests coming down the pipeline. This is great. This people requesting new data means potential new use cases of Tellor, and people are trying to actually use this, which is awesome. We just sort of have to formalize the process, make sure that we're all in sync for what it looks like for adding these new pieces. So we'll be adding a new request ID and testing it on the Ring.me network later this week, and then probably early next week we'll be pushing it to mainnet, and we'll be throwing some request IDs out there. If you don't update your miner right now, what will happen is you just won't be able to win those new blocks. So we don't want you guys to miss out on any potential rewards. So go make sure that you guys are updating your miners and then helping us out. We've Crossy, who's here, he's been really revamping a lot of the miner code, and the GitHub looks really, really pretty now. So you guys can go there and have a look. The other feature, so you'll notice one of the big features in order to accommodate, so the VIX. The VIX is the volatility index. They don't give away the volatility index. It's run by the CBOE. You have to pay for it, or you have to use an authenticated API probably in order to get the data. So it was a really quick fix kind of to be able to do that in the miner. But you'll probably have to go and have, register your email and maybe even pay for some API services, depending on which one you go for in order to retrieve that price. This is kind of a big structural change in kind of the Tellor system in general. So if you look at one of the frequent critiques of Tellor from the Chainlink army is, well, Tellor, they don't have the ability to use high quality data, meaning authenticated APIs. And they've said this many times to us, and we always ignore them because it's really sort of an empty threat, because the idea of using authenticated APIs, we want to make this data available to you, but what we actually don't want to do is what Chainlink does is say, like, we're going to go and get the data from this specific authenticated API. And the reason that we don't want to do that is because then that specific authenticated API can censor your entire system. you want to build systems that aren't relying on one specific API. If you are relying on one specific API or one specific data source, you don't need an Oracle service like Tellor. Just have them place it on, have them be your trusted source. If you can, it's a different kind of system that you're building. You're not building these sort of ambiguous censorship resistant oracles. You're building just a, you trust this person, so what does he say about it? Which isn't what we're about. Okay, so that's the miner stuff. Other thing, we're actually going to put out a vote on the Telegram probably tomorrow, but we're going to be moving the calls, or we want to know your opinion on moving the calls. Are you guys cool with if we move it 3 hours earlier? Let us know. So if nobody has any issues, we'll probably move it a little earlier for those Europeans. If we get a bunch of pushback, if there's some, right now, just looking at the people in the call, I don't think we're going to get a big pushback from it. But if maybe there's somebody in Asia, we'll get 1,000 people in Asia who say, no, we want it 3 hours later. And then we'll all show up. And then maybe we actually, whenever we started it, so whenever I started the calls, we did the original, we would actually switch. We did 7:30 in the morning and then 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And we would rotate every week to see kind of, we would have one call kind of 7:30 in the morning for more of the Asian crowd, and then one at 3 p.m. for the other crowd. And nobody showed up to the 7:30 a.m. one. And repeatedly for weeks, it was like, I'm not waking up at 7, I'm not hopping on, making sure I'm ready to go at 7:30 a.m. every other Tuesday for you guys. And nobody cared. So we just picked 3 p.m. So it's not like we had a really good reason. Okay, so let us know if you have a problem. Some other, I guess, announcements. So we are starting the Encode Club hackathon. It starts tomorrow. Encode is for university students. So if you are interested, if you are a university student and you're looking for a hackathon, I think Ryan, do you know how much bounties we put up? Oh.
I do not.
Putting Ryan on the spot, but yeah, I think we put up like $4,000 worth of bounties for college students. It's a pretty good amount. It's a pretty big hackathon, and you guys can go, and we're excited to see what people are going to build. We're trying to get people to experiment with different data types and really just play around with a lot of the tools that Tellor built. So yeah, that's kind of it for the announcements. Now we'll kind of hop into the survey results to see what you guys actually think. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. All right, can you guys see that? Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay. So I know I've talked to some people about these results, and most people aren't going to be kind of shocked by them, but we had 38 responses, which is getting people to fill out a survey. So you can ask Brenda. Brenda and I used to work in the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Trying to get people to fill out surveys was what we did, and it's not easy. So mainly we have a bunch of holders. Makes sense. You can click more than one, obviously. So we had some Oracle users. 6 people have said that they've used Tellor to read data. Some miners and some developers. So, and then we asked them which one had they used. So 13 people have actually said that they've read Oracle data on chain, which was, given a sample of 38 people who filled this out, that was shockingly high to me. But it's really good. I mean, the more, if we can get this up to 1,000, we win. So most people have used the dispute center and the price viewer, which is awesome. So those are some of the front ends that we built this summer. I think a lot of people used it for the recent V2.5 vote, which was really good. And then 7 people have used the miner. So yeah. And when we ask people, what do you think Tellor should focus on most? So this is one where you can only choose one answer. That's why on most. The answer was kind of overwhelming as far as vertical products. So the first one is vertical products, which means Tellor should be building products that use Tellor, mainly, stable coins, derivatives, different pieces. So this was most people, that's kind of the route. So you can think there's the kind of two different routes for like an Oracle provider to go. So, the first one is like a chain link where you would continue to just build Oracle services, and you would, the next you could provide like centralized Oracle services, decentralized Oracle services. Those would be like horizontal products. You could provide, viewers and data aggregators, all sort of services for this B2B data layer that we would become the middleware piece. The other sort of business strategy you would do is go vertical, which would be almost like, so who would use Tellor would be like a stable coin would potentially use Tellor. We'll just build the stable coin ourselves, become, the retail facing arm. And that would be the case. An example of a company that's done this in the space really well is Maker. So, back they were originally just a group of builders, and they were building cool products, and they built, they see themselves as an Oracle as well. And then they built DAI on top of it as a stable coin. So there's different routes that you can take. And a lot of people want that. It's definitely one way that you don't have to wait for other teams to build on you. So you can sort of get a product out there for people to use right away. And there's a lot of merit to it. It's different though. So the only downside to doing that is, especially if you do like a stable coin or a derivatives platform, is besides the whole regulatory risk piece, you also have, you're a retail facing company now. So, whereas for Tellor, our customers or the people who we want to build on Tellor, holders aside, it's businesses. So it's the other Tellor businesses, and you selling them is like, it's a different game. It's more of a relationship building. It's, there's probably 50 projects in the Ethereum space that could potentially use Tellor. We can know them all sort of on a first name basis. Once you go into the, like a DAI, who's using DAI or holding and trusting DAI, then it's a much more retail facing game. Anyway, the next piece that people actually like would be faster and better Tellor infrastructure. So just make Tellor better. This is kind of the opposite approach as far as what should we do most? We should focus on making Tellor as great as can be, Tellor v3. And I think we're going to be kind of working on both simultaneously. We had just upgraded Tellor to v2 and v2.5, and we'll probably give a focus on some other things and button up the miner and the dispute center and other pieces like that before we really start tackling Tellor v3. But we're learning lessons along the way. We can continue to make Tellor better, and we will. Other ones, so obviously the mining software. So we had 7 people who had used the mining software answer, and I'm guessing 3 of them said that we should focus more on the mining software. That's good to know. And then 3 people also said that we should focus on front ends and data viewers, which, we sort of know we're weak on. We're not really a front end team. But that said, we're also not really a front end product. We're ideally, people can just use us in their Solidity code. They don't need a front end viewer like a lot of things. But that said, we do want to make some better data pieces, and there's been some updates too to the Dune Analytics page recently. There's some more data viewers coming. Okay. Next one, if you were a miner, what should Tellor work on next on the miner? So almost everyone's not a miner, but of the few people, so we had 7 people who said that they used our miner, but then we had more than that in terms of answers. So a little bit of a data quality issue here. But that said, most people think we should just focus on better UX around the miner, which we get. We've talked to some, like right now, Tellor is pretty heavy as far as FPGA mining. It's kind of hard for GPU miners to come on board. And a lot of times whenever people come to try and test out the miner, they're sort of aghast at how non-user friendly it is, because a lot of the, the GPU miner world especially, you can just download a binary and it's a nice point-click interface, click a button and you start a miner on your computer and you start winning rewards. Ours is a little bit more complicated than that. So I know some people might want to see it, but then I think the problem would be is even if they saw it, they wouldn't be competitive with whatever system they're running this on. So probably wouldn't matter anyway. The other thing people said, more robust testing and handling of data. This is, we completely agree. Like if I had to pick one, I think that would be it. So, and then we had one answer for, these are kind of the others. People want more GPU mining and fixing some of the gas usage pieces, which unfortunately we're not really in control of. And then any suggestions? So a lot of you guys added a lot of suggestions here, and love all of the best ones. You know, people are saying you're amazing, or keep up the great work. Those are always encouraging. So thanks guys for saying that. Other people think, you know, usually in these comments, like I'm not going to go and read 20 responses to you guys. People think we need to focus on vertical products, getting actual users on Tellor and building them ourselves if we can't. And then, so the miners and even the users have noted that Ethereum and gas prices are really an issue. We got a lot of comments on that. How can we lower gas prices for using Tellor? How can we lower gas prices for sending Tellor? How can we lower gas prices so the mining reward is more? And unfortunately, Ethereum is pretty clogged. There's not a whole lot we can do about it. ETH 2.0 is hopefully coming, but you know, we're continuing to start supporting other networks. So if you know, we're going to be starting to work here on Matic, and then probably some other side chains as well. And we're just kind of continuing to support other chains, but the idea that we can necessarily fix blockchain scalability, it's probably beyond our level of expertise. So we're kind of beholden to the space in the same way that all the other projects are. We're suffering it with you guys. But that said, we want to be quick to move and quick to be the first ones wherever it makes sense. So just want to say thanks everyone for answering the surveys. It was really great to see that everyone did it. So this was 30, we got 38 responses. And then I think on the next survey, what we're going to do is maybe we'll see if we give away, like, we'll do like a prize. So maybe like a lottery, if you enter, and then maybe we'll like give away 10 TRB or something small. And then we'll see if we can get like way more responses. And then we can just test our community as far as like how gullible they are, or willing to answer survey questions for small prizes or t-shirts. All right.
And then it will be interesting to see the quality of the responses as well.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll have to add some quality controls in there. Well, I feel like if you do a t-shirt, you won't get fake ones. Or I don't know, maybe people would be willing.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So now we can just kind of jump into the questions here. So we got 12 questions today, which is pretty good. So, okay, question. So maybe we can ask, if any member of the team here wants to answer, what could you be doing faster? Anyone have any ideas? What could we be doing faster? I don't know. Brenda?
No, I mean, no. I'm sure we could be doing a lot of things faster, but in terms of security, we always have to balance it for tellers. So I don't know. I haven't even thought about that for 3.0. It's just expensive to save data, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't think about something right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say everything. I mean, I think I know from my perspective, I get really impatient with things as far as like, you know, we get an idea in our head about, oh, we're gonna do this new product or something, and then, you know, like I would love to sit down at a hackathon, you know, at my computer for a weekend and knock it out and deploy it. But you know, that's the one thing I've realized kind of starting Tellor and all these products is that things just take time. You know, it's definitely more of a marathon than a sprint when it comes to a lot of things. You know, there's, even if you have a phenomenal product, if you don't build the branding right around it, if you don't build the marketing plan around it, if you don't build the security pieces around it, you're going to be left out. So just coordinating all of those pieces, you know, even if you think about like what projects have, a lot of times in the crypto space, people feel like, oh my goodness, there's 20 new projects every single day. How can you possibly keep up? And you guys aren't innovating fast enough because, you know, you're competing with all of Twitter. The problem is that, you know, if you look at the projects that are actually doing well, they've been around for a long time, and they've really iterated on a lot of different ideas. And even if it takes us a long time, like, you know, I remember, so like Maker, for instance, like I remember early on when they announced DAI, and then people were like, DAI is never going to launch it. They've been planning this thing for 9 months, and it's just, it's code sitting in a repository, and then they're never going to launch it. And then finally they did. Or, you know, same with, you know, you hear like a lot of projects, like even ETH2, like it's never going to launch, and eventually it will. You know, and if it actually works, people will forget the time that it took. You know, people have said the same thing about Augur, and you just want to balance. You want to make sure that you're not waiting too long, that you miss things, but then things take time. And I mean, same with, if you look at the projects like Aave and Synthetics, like before Aave was Aave, they were ETHLend, and they did a pivot, and they changed some things, and they're Aave. And Synthetics was Haven. They were a stable coin, and they iterated on different ideas and found success doing this one. And not that we didn't necessarily want to go either of those paths, but I think just getting name recognition, just kind of tinkering with what works and things like that is the way to go. So, you know, just spitting things out really fast.
I mean, some of those vertical products are going to be great to see us put out faster, but I guess that's what I would be excited about, since that's, you know, we kind of have a little bit of a rest from Tellor or Tellor Core, and moving into that one, into other products. But we'll see. I mean, it's
Cool.
exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Many oracles are joining the competition, and some of them already got a list of users, which is ahead of us. So what can we expect from the team? Yeah. So I think, you know, on this one, we've kind of what?
Nothing. Go for it.
Yeah, you know, we kind of answer this question every week, and we'll continue to do so. You know, we're working with projects to get Tellor integrated. We're gonna let you guys know whenever you start seeing requests being fulfilled. You know, we're not talking about partnerships. We're not talking about things that may be, because a lot of times in the space they don't play out. So you can expect that we're going to continue working hard at getting users and building a product that people want to do. You know, I'm not really worried about oracles that are entering the space. If you announce you're an oracle today and you're launching, you know, from like ideation phase to being like actually usable and on mainnet, and like people would actually trust you, like it's a year, like at least. Like you would never, like if you're in this space and you would trust somebody to be your oracle that launches today, like you're making a mistake. You want to care about some security. So anyway, does a multi-oracle IDEX price for a given asset have any sense of existence? Anyone know what they're talking about? I'm guessing maybe IDEX is doing Oracle pricing, which they could. You know, this is similar maybe to like the Uniswap Oracle, to where you can use so you can use exchanges as pricing feeds as well, and dexes. There's some downsides to that. So you like, if you're using an exchange, say especially a dex as your pricing oracle, the downside is you are very much assuming that there is a liquid market for this asset on chain. As soon as there's not a liquid market, it sort of goes away. And especially with like a Uniswap, you know, somebody can easily manipulate the price. And that's why they usually say, well, okay, we'll do a time-weighted average. Well, now you're assuming that there's going to be liquidity in that pool for all of those times and all of the times in the future, especially if you're building into it, which is not necessarily always the case. If you have, you know, if the TRB pool, if TRB drops by 80% in value, probably everyone in that pool is just going to be pissed. You have a whole bunch of impermanent loss, and you know, you just lost a whole bunch of money. So you're not going to really like it. And that's why, you know, everyone would probably pull out of the pool, and now the whole pricing mechanism doesn't work unless somebody decides to deposit a whole bunch of money into the contract. And then you're back to square one. So anyway.
And also this doesn't work for US dollars and other currencies, right?
Yeah, so DEX pricing also doesn't work for anything that is off-chain, obviously. Yeah. Okay, somebody said, I thought the inflation rate is 17%, but today Alari said that it's 30%. That's crazy. When will we fix it? It strongly affects the holder.
The target was 17%.
Yeah, so yeah.
Sorry, so on March 2020, was it this year? Yeah, earlier this year, we actually made an adjustment so that our target inflation rate would be 17% a year from then. But we have made another adjustment just in October where it's actually going to decrease even more, and it's probably going to get there even faster, but it's, you know, it was a target. It wasn't that it was just changed to it. It was supposed to change gradually from March to March 2021. Yeah,
so you can expect sometime next year. And the inflation rate is always something adjustable. You know, if we feel like it's a big issue, we can adjust it downwards. I think right now, if you're looking at what's preventing Tellor from, to answer the TRB $250 2020's question, when moon, what's preventing Tellor from when mooning is probably not the inflation rate of 30%. You know, the inflation rate of 30% probably won't make any difference when it comes to when it's mooning. The difference is going to come, can we actually get usage on Tellor, and does the inflation subsidy to the system actually make sense currently? And I'd say a high inflation rate to subsidize security in the system makes a whole lot of sense right now, given the low tips on chain. Okay, somebody else asked, why is the dispute section of Tellor Scan still down? So somebody noticed, you mentioned it last week, and we are aware of it, and we're going to fix it. So we're just kind of prioritized on other things. We're not really a front end heavy team, but yeah, we'll work on it. We apologize if you're really trying to dispute things, or maybe not. I don't know. But yeah. Next, is Ampleforth interested in Tellor? I'm guessing that somebody is asking this because recently, so people monitor, and we recently did a pull request into the Ampleforth repo, and then people messaged me about it, and hopefully we can get them to use Tellor. That would be super cool. You know, we're not, obviously we tell you guys we think we make a strong case for them, and we'll let you guys know when they're using us. What ideas do you have for vertical products? Lots of ideas. Those are for us. Okay. When will you start marketing the stablecoin? So this has to do with this. We have a stablecoin repo in our thing. Not anytime right now. When will you start marketing Optimistic Tellor? This is another one. So Optimistic Tellor is, this is the piece that we're putting over on Matic. So we're building out a Matic implementation, and probably shortly we'll be working with them to start marketing it and telling people that you can use Tellor on Matic. So yeah, very shortly. We're just kind of in talks with their team. Why is the CoinGecko Tellor price chart broken? I don't know.
I'm looking at it right now and it's working for me.
Yes, as a miner, I support the project. Tellor has been very good to me. However, since V2.5, it's making less and less sense for me to mine. Any chance a relief is coming soon? I don't. I honestly don't know what relief you would expect. It's an open mining network, and there's a lot of competition. I think V2.5 stabilized a lot of, some of the inefficiencies. Usually if one miner is doing really well, or one set of miners is doing really well, it's usually because of some inefficiency in the system. Hopefully we can, you want, like, ideally in the mining world, it's unfortunately one of these games where if everyone actually has open access to mining and can properly put their hash power to work, it's sort of this like hyper capitalist system where profits will drastically go to zero. You will be spending every dime on power that you make back with just a tiny bit of profit calculated in, and it becomes this really, sort of cold system for building and mining. If you're making these giant outsized returns and people aren't coming mining and flocking and increasing the competition, that usually means there's some giant barrier to entry that's blocking people from coming on. I think reducing the stake amount, and then with the V2.5 update, I think gas prices have also come down a whole lot in Tellor. It's making it so. Yeah, I don't think we'll see any changes in the mining system anytime soon. And good last question. Are other crypto teams eating your lunch? I don't. I don't think so. Brenda?
No, my lunch.
Is that slang for something? I don't quite get it.
I think I know what they mean, but I think there's enough space for the amount of oracles that are out there and the amount of hopefully new projects that are going to come on board. So I'm not worried about that, to be honest. As long as we provide a good service and continue to iterate and continue to develop products vertical and improve Tellor, I think we're going to be just fine. Nobody's eating our lunch.
Yes. Cool. So that's all the questions we had for today. It was semi-interesting. So hopefully everyone kind of sees what we're up to. We'll kind of be focusing a lot on the hackathon. You can watch Mike and JG tomorrow. We'll post a link to that. They'll be live. Mike gives his regards. He couldn't make it, out saving the world in some other fashion. But thanks everyone for joining. So I'll talk to you guys later. Cool. All right. Thanks everyone for coming.